Okay, I'm going live. We're live right now. So, hello everyone, if there is someone who are watching us. I think so, yeah. So today we're having a guest speaker, guest researcher, Dr. Charbel Maydaa from Lebanon, from Beirut. Now he is joining us from London. So today he's going to present us about the latest situation of Beirut related to the Covid-19 process, of course. But as you may know, Lebanon had lots of crises in the latest years, starting from the economic crisis, and then it went on with the pandemic, and then, you know, the devastating explosion happened in the port of Beirut. So today, Charbel give us a brief background of Beirut and Lebanon's history and political and economical and social history or current situation. Before starting to the seminar, I would like to share a brief explanation with you, because maybe some listeners don't know about the context of this seminar. So we are architectural design studio, 301 third year architectural design studio at Kadir Has University. We are 16 or 17 people here. And this term we are talking about or imagining how to shelter in Beirut during crisis. So that's why we have Charbel to make us a good explanation about Beirut. So I think it's okay, but again, I'll take just 1 minute to introduce Charbel Maydaa. He is the founder and former director of Mosaic, a holistic program committed to the improvement of health and wellness of LGBTIQ persons in the MENA region. And since 2004, he has been promoting LGBTQI rights. He's a certificate trainer on sexual orientation, gender identity and expression, and sex characteristics, reproductive health rights, and clinical management for women and men survivors of sexual violence, rape, and has facilitated more than 150 training sessions at national and international levels. So I know Charbel from the same hub. We are working for the same hub. It's LSE Gender Justice and Security Hub. It's funded by UKRI Research Innovation. And he is one of the co-investigators of masculinities and sexualities stream. So we are as well co-workers in this hub. I think that's all to start. Is it okay for you, Charbel?
Sure, thank you.
Now I'll try to share my screen for you to show your presentation. Just bear with me a second. Okay, now I think you can see the presentation, right?
Yes.
Okay. So please direct me whenever you said next. I can pass the screen.
Sure. Thank you, Azgi. Thank you so much. I'm glad to having me, and it's a great opportunity actually. And I really like the project and how you're thinking about like sheltering from a different perspective. And after the presentation, I would like really to share with you also like my perspective of sheltering specifically during during a disaster or a pandemic or etc. So next. Okay. we're gonna talk generally about COVID-19, the political situation and the revolution in Lebanon, the economic situation and the social situation in parallel with the whole with COVID, with the revolution, and what happened lately with the explosion. So I'm really sorry for the boring presentation, but it's an information that we should share with you. Next. To start with the preventive measures and procedures. Next. On 21st of February 2020, Lebanon confirmed its first case of COVID-19 that was imported to Lebanon through travelers returning from Iran. On the 15th of March, Lebanon declared a state of medical emergency. Then the government announced the closure of Beirut airport, seaports, and land entries. This is what they said, but it was like still open for some specific people who are pro the government or pro this party or another party. But officially, they said it's closed. It imposed the closure of all businesses and organizations except for those selling essential goods, such as supermarkets and pharmacies. At that time, I remember I was still in Lebanon. Really huge shift in the prices also happened, illegally, of course, because at that time also in parallel, it was a huge economic crisis going in parallel with COVID. Actually, people were really suffering to buy their essentials. An interministerial national emergency task force has been established upon the request of the Lebanese Prime Minister, headed by a representative of the Prime Minister office. Next. Physical social distancing, enhance all of society coordination mechanism to support preparedness and response, including health, transport, travel, trade, finance, security, and other sectors. Sensitize the public to their active role in the response. But obviously, this is like, especially like after the blast, a lot of people, they not listening anymore. They don't care anymore. And also during the summer and after the press, like emotionally, people were very, very involved. So a lot of marriages and, in our region, marriages that you cannot be married without like inviting a lot of people and celebrating with them. And so also this affects us a lot. Negatively, of course. They were engaged with key partners to develop national and subnational preparedness and response plans, enhance hospital and community preparedness plans, ensure that space, staffing, and supplies are adequate for surge of patient care needs, taking into consideration like the response for COVID. It don't take into consideration like refugees. Like even NGOs were like highlighting their works only for Lebanese first and then refugees, like the whole society first and then LGBTIQ. So the marginalized people or the minorities were really put aside. Enhance hospital and community preparedness pleasure, ensure that space staffing, we talked about it, establish metrics and monitoring evaluation system to assess the effectiveness of measures, document lessons learned to inform ongoing and future preparedness and response activities. But we didn't hear anything about the border, and then Asgi later on, she can mention a few things about it. Like really, we didn't know what happened on the border and what was the response on the border and what kind of lessons we learned from the border. But they said they are documenting, prepare for regularity approval, market authorization, and post-market surveillance of COVID-19 products. Example, laboratory, diagnostics, therapeutics, vaccine, etc. In May, the number of cases continues to increase, which could be justified by the improvement of the testing coverage and capacity nationwide. Cases in refugee camp, Palestinian and Syrian, and among migrant workers, Bangladeshi appeared. The national lockdown was extended on May 22nd until June 7. However, it was ended on May 18. The Ministry of the Interior and Municipality issued on June 15 a circular that clarified the operational procedure of administration management, isolation criteria, and measures for isolation center. But still, even like now, they said that for some areas there is like total lockdown in Lebanon, depends on the city or the village that you are living in. But still, some municipalities don't take into consideration the ministry recommendation. So it's really, they don't listen, and there is no legal obligation for them to have a total lockdown, even if it was recommended from the ministry. Yes. MOIM issued circular to lift the restriction on the movement of vehicles as per plate number and to permit commercial settings to reopen as of June 21st. The Prime Minister office declared that the reopening as well of Beirut Rafiq Hariri International Airport of commercial flights by the beginning of July. The number of confirmed cases continued to increase in July, reaching 1,907 cases. The government extended the general mobilization state until August 2nd and lifted the curfew. Well, now, Lebanon witnessed the highest increase in COVID-19 cases in September to reach 29,303 cases. And today, actually, it's like 54,000 something. The idea is like Lebanon is a very small country with around 5 million citizens. This number is really, really high to have it in a very small country that is not ready for a small crisis. What if like something like COVID? Anyway, many of the measures taken by the government for COVID-19 were posted again due to the fragile economic situation. On a political level, the anti-government protest started, what I love to call the revolution, started way before the port explosion, started in October, and then intensified afterwards, rejecting the mismanagement and neglect of the government. Resignation of the government of Prime Minister Hassan Diab on August 10, international interlocutors pressured the Lebanese ruling party to form a new government to implement the reforms required to unlock the financial sanction imposed on the country. And after the repetitive visits of the French president and his proposed action plan, President Aoun assigned Mustafa Adib as the new prime minister on August 31st. Adib stepped down from forming the new government on September 26th due to his inability to resolve the Shias conflict over the new Minister of Finance. Lebanon is very small, but it's really diverse when it's come to religions and sects, etc. And we say that our government is laïque, what's laïque in English?
Secular.
Yes, it's secular. We say that our government is secular, but indeed it's not. It's really like our president should always be Christians, Maronite. Our prime minister should be always Muslim, Sunnah. So it's divided on depends on your religion, and this really specifically when until now we have the same leader since 1975. Until now they are dividing the cake upon them, and they don't agree to have someone new or someone who has really care about the country. And until now, we have no government right now with all that's happening. President Macron urged the political parties to adopt his reform plan within 6 weeks in the conference held on September 27. International parties shamed all political parties in Lebanon for falling behind their duties, especially Hezbollah. Hezbollah blamed the US for the financial restriction and criticized the French institution in Syria and Lebanon. And the recent development on the Shia's behalf, the president of the parliament, Nabih Berri, have taken the initiative to lead the negotiation on the Lebanese-Israeli sea borders. So it's really, really complicated and we cannot understand what's going on. However, the country remains so far with no ruling government, sinking deeper in the economic and social crisis. Like less than a year ago, $1, one USD was 1,500 Lebanese pound. Now, in the black market, of course, the one USD is around 8,000 Lebanese pound. So it's more than 8 times differences. Lebanon's economic system was a fragile one to the beginning, was doomed to collapse eventually. What started the damage rapidly were the US sanction and the financial policies adopted by the central bank. The country is now broke and have missed out payments of Eurobond obligations. The only solution available now is outside money on an estimated bailout of 100 billion. There is no clear consensus on how the losses are allocated between different stakeholders. Government officials failed to reach to any constructive agreement with the IMF. The central banks liquefied reserve and the Lebanese lira is losing its value continuously. The unemployment rate has reached 46% and the inflation rate has reached 120.3% as of August 2020. On a social level, over 55% of the Lebanese people are now in poverty, and up to 23% are in extreme poverty. So, like, most of the people in Lebanon now live in poverty. There is an immense erosion of the middle class to reach now less than 40% of the entire population, as well as the higher class to shrink from 15% to 5% of the population. Lebanon has suffered previously from unequal wealth distribution and conflict based on the political and religious diversities, which has aggravated due to the recent political and economic situation. The circumstances has driven people to flee illegally through fishing boats from Tripoli to Cyprus, where over than 21 boats have left between July and September, and have faced many challenges during their travels, where many have lost their lives. And even when many of them also, when they arrive to Cyprus, they send them back to Lebanon. After Beirut port explosion, more than 36% increase in illegal immigration of youth was also reported. The existing situation, along with the imposed quarantine, have produced social tensions, cases of violence, and murders. According to CAFA, Enough Violence and Exploitation organization, the number of reported cases of violence has increased drastically with the beginning of 2020. The number of calls on CAFA hotline and the number of murders and suicide due to the violence within 1 month was shocking. And here we're talking about violence against women and migrant workers. So this is the situation in general in Lebanon and what happened and what's happening now. I would be really more than happy to answer any of your questions concerning the presentation and or concerning sheltering in Beirut. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Charbel. This was a very extended presentation. I heard the first part of it, but I have learned lots of things going on after June, so it was also new for me. Thank you very much. So do you have questions? First, I would like to take my students' questions, and then I'll check if there are some other questions. I think there's nothing here. Okay. So if you will be more comfortable, I'll end the broadcasting live on YouTube. If there are some questions from the YouTube listeners, I can take it right now. Okay, so I'm ending it right now and we'll continue together.